quick video on the Stratus and explaining everything that happened and why it was blown up. So to give a little bit of backstory on all the changes that just happened to it. So manual swap's done. It's actually a different transmission that was in it than the first time. Originally I used an S54 transmission, broke something either in the transmission or one of the axles, the custom axles I'd got. So I went a different route, used a 01 PT Cruiser transmission, but shorter gear ratios, cheaper. The stock automatic axles work with it instead of having to get custom axles made. And it required a lot of custom work. So to make the shifter cables work, I had to make some little extension brackets to make those work. Had to make a custom rear motor mount, had to make a custom mount for the shifter cable bracket. Had to make a custom, can't really see it, custom transmission mount that's in there. And I had to make a custom front motor mount. So this is V2 of the custom motor mount. This one definitely wouldn't have broke. A little bit of foreshadowing there, I guess. V1 was a lot simpler, not near as strong. I thought it was going to be strong enough to handle maybe 150 wheel horsepower. Turns out it wasn't. So what happened? I spent probably 2 weeks straight working on this thing, making everything work for this transmission, made the motor mounts, went out, got it all done, running, driving good with this transmission. Everything was working fine. Went out Saturday night, went out to go a few weeks ago to go cruising in it, to drive it, beat on it, test it, make sure it's all gonna hold up, because I wanted to have the car done for Cletus and cars, and the car was done for Cletus and cars. That's the whole point of why I was rushing to get it done. So I went out that Saturday night, beating on it, and throughout the night, the V1 front motor mount that I made had started to bend, and it was making it harder to get into like third and fifth gear because the shifter cables weren't long enough. So because since you can see this motor, it leans back, the whole thing leans back in the engine bay stock, and when that motor mount bent, it leaned the engine forward, which then in turn made the shifter cables have to go farther to get the gears. So I was out running all night. It was running great, hanging, keeping up with stuff a lot better than I thought it was going to. This shorter gearing in this transmission made a world of difference over the other transmission, like huge difference. And then my new intake that I made helped this thing not fall off in the upper RPM anymore, because it used to fall off pretty bad at above like 5,200 RPM. Now with this intake, it didn't fall off at all, pulled hard all the way to red line. Not that it didn't pull to red line before, but now there's no significantly, like actually seat of your pants, you can feel it didn't fall off anymore. Way better. And then the gearing obviously helped make it faster because this gearing's a lot shorter. So throughout the night, motor mount started to bend. End of the night, we did one last lap, went down the highway, do a couple pulls. I was doing not necessarily a top speed run, but I was doing a high speed pull. I mean, how short this gearing is, fourth gear only goes to like I think 120 kilometers per hour. And so I went top of fourth, went to go to fifth, went into gear, thought it was fifth gear, but I guess the shifter cables at that point couldn't reach fifth anymore, and it went to third at the top of fourth. So money shifted it. When that happens, it torqued the engine so hard the other way, because when you're on throttle, it torques back more this way, and when it's on decel, it torques this way, and when you money shift it, it aggressively decells and torques this way. Bent the V1 motor mount more, so much in fact that it smashed the oil filter into the subframe, busted a hole in the oil filter, and then blew the seal out of the oil filter. So basically I had very, very little oil pressure left in the engine because all the oil pressure was pushing the oil out of the oil filter instead of through the engine. That on top of the motor's probably spinning at, I think I did the math, there's like 8,300 RPM. When this thing's red line is at 6,000. It hurt it. And yeah, so it's blown up. The motor, it still runs, it starts up, still starts up immediately, just fine. But it knocks. I've narrowed it down, I'm pretty sure, to cylinder 1 is knocking because I started it the other day, pulled all this coil packs out, knocked one away when I pulled out cylinder 1's coil pack. And yeah, so heard a rod bearing, pretty sure. Everything else seems fine. When I was on the side of the highway, I started it with obviously like no oil in it, just for like 5 seconds, just to see. It had some oil, but not that much, just to see if it was making any noise. It wasn't making any noise, so I thought it was good. That's why I came home, spent the next week working on it more, making this. Had my cousin, who's a mechanical engineer at FCA, help me design this motor mount. And obviously it's a lot. Before it was literally just a piece of 1/4-inch flat stock that went from like where this bolts in, and it came down like curved and bolted underneath the lower radiator support. And I knew that wasn't the best design, but I also thought it was going to be fine for the power level, considering it had another solid mount. The trans mount was solid, and it still had the stock rear mount and the stock other side mount. So I figured it was going to be okay, but obviously it wasn't. And the whole reason why I went into making the V2 and then making a solid rear mount and all that stuff was just because I thought the motor was still fine. So spent that week, more money, got everything put together, got the car completely back together, ready to go. The week of Cletus and Cars, or the weekend before Cletus and Cars, I got it finished for the second time. Started it, wasn't knocking. I did an oil change on it, obviously. Wasn't knocking. Motor sounded perfect. Let it idle, get up to operating temperature. And as soon as I went to take off out of the driveway and brought the revs up over like 1,000 RPM to take off, I heard a knock. And I was, as you can imagine, I was very, very, very disappointed. So I just put a good amount of money into the car to have it ready specifically for Cletus and Cars, and it blew up the week before, which sucked. But you know, it is what it is. It's, all my fellow car people know that's how it goes. It's part of it. But yeah, so I just want to make that quick little update explaining why it happened, how it happened. Honestly, if I would have designed the front motor mount better the first time, the motor would probably still be just fine because it wouldn't have lost oil pressure, and I wouldn't have money shifted. I've only money shifted one other time in my life, and that was in the PT Cruiser. And the motor was fine. But this, obviously, with the lack of oil pressure, it wasn't happy money shifting. But you know, it's how it goes. It does suck, but the car will be back. For now, I have bigger plans I want to do with it a little bit more down the road once I save up more money and get all this stuff accumulated. But for the time being, I'm gonna get another stock motor just to put it in so I can still drive it and have fun with the car. This front motor mount is definitely not gonna have any problems. The engine is very solid. So yeah, so I'm gonna make a quick little update. No, I'm sure at least some of my subscribers have been wondering about this car, where it's at, what it's been doing. But yeah, so don't really know what else to say. I mean, The car's dirty. It's been just sitting out on the street, not in the garage. I let my roommate park in the garage because they got a new car. So it's been sitting out on the curb. It's got the coilovers on it now. Let's see, I guess I can do a little update walk around of the car. Don't mind how absolutely filthy it is. But so as you can see, the interior, it's streetcar from the front half of the car forward. Basically, I left the rear looking completely gutted. I have a trunk block off now. The dash is still, it's just a plastic. There's nothing behind the dash. There's no AC, nothing like that back there still. I made some custom carpet. I think it's pretty neat. But yeah, there isn't really much else to update on. I wish I had more videos. I have some videos. I might try and find them of doing some pulls in this thing.
1, 2, 3.
When it had the other the SRT4 transmission in it, because I had more, the car was running longer for that period of time because it wasn't broken, obviously. But yeah, so it's blown up. Motor lasted a lot longer than anybody thought it would. This is the same motor that's been in the car since I got the car 6 years ago, and it's since I got it, it's probably has at least 50 to 55,000 miles put on it. And this used to be my daily only and my car I beat on. So this, I mean, for a stock engine, especially this engine that, I mean, not many people really probably have an opinion on its reliability or care, but it held up to the abuse pretty darn well. As long as you keep the good oil in it and service it as you should. I mean, it lasted longer than I thought it was going to, lasted longer than any of my friends thought it was going to. So I'm not disappointed. I got my fun out of it. I'm gonna just throw another stock one in so I have something to just still drive around and have fun with. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. I put power steering back in it. Makes it much easier to drive. This is up here for when it's parked on the street to help keep water out of the engine bay, because I'd rather not my engine get disgusting from sitting out there. But yeah, so there's a little update. I did move also. That's why the location's different. There's a truck, by the way, that you guys heard me talk about in the last video. It's broken right now too. This passenger side hub is completely shot. Got to replace that. Yeah, don't mind the rust on the fender. I'm gonna get a new fender for it. But here she is, quick little walk around. 05 F250 6.0, not studded, but it has a basically like full bolt-ons for a diesel. It's got a Banks high ram intake, intercooler, charge pipes, turbo back straight pipe, K&N cold air intake, all the good stuff. Sounds good. It's got a Looney Tune on it. But yeah, so there's a truck. There's the update on the Stratus, no race car. It'll be back soon. I don't know if I want to reveal the big plans for it yet, but it's going to be pretty crazy. I'll say that much. But yeah, so I just want to make this quick video, give you guys an update. Figured it'd be better to make a quick, short little video updating the car instead of not posting at all. But yeah, thanks for watching. Keep your eyes on the channel because I'm gonna try and start getting back into the videos more, and yeah, I'll try and find some racing videos, and this video is me thrashing on this thing with the other transmission in it, just to throw in here for some entertainment. Thanks, guys. Here's a video proof of it running. I mean, you'll get a little, you can hear the knock. Definitely rod knock, but I guess I'll throw this in driving around to the street in the front of the house where I park it. so you guys can see that in fact there is a clutch pedal down there, and it does work. I thought about like hooking this thing up to the truck and just doing a burnout and trying to grenade the motor, but I kind of want to keep this block just as like a keepsake timepiece for this car. Maybe make a table out of it or something at some point. But yeah, you can see it's driving, it's manual. It's pretty cool. It's definitely a very fun car to rip around in. Motors for these things are real cheap too. Oh, there's a scrape. Which is nice. So it shouldn't be too awful long till I have a motor back in it and I'm back out ripping it. But try and blow it up right now, give it some revs. But yeah, so that's all, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the support, appreciate your patience. I'll see you next time.
Ready?